All right, so now that we've gotten our points off of our calculator, and you can see that I've gone ahead and jotted them down all over here, okay? And these just came straight from the graphing calculator that I showed you guys in the previous video. So I just wrote down all those points that I got from my calculator. Now we just need to go ahead and actually plot these points by hand. And this goes back to what we learned in the last set of videos about how to plot polar coordinates. All right, so let's go ahead and start graphing these. All right, so our first point, we have 0 degrees, -6, okay? So 0 degrees, of course, is right over here on this line. So 0 degrees. Now radius of -6, remember, is going to flip us across the origin onto our 180-degree line. And we're going to go out to our 6th circle for that radius of 6. We're going to plot our point right here. Look at that point right there. Okay, then we have 30 degrees with a radius of -5.2. So 30-degree line right here. Again, negative radius is going to flip us across the origin. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.2. And just do the best you can to estimate where that is. So somewhere right around there will be our point. All right, then we have 45 degrees, -4.2. So 45 is right in the middle of quadrant 1. The negative radius flips us across the origin, and then 1, 2, 3, 4.2 will be right around here. Somewhere right around there. And just do the best you can to estimate with the decimals. I know they're not going to be perfect, but just do what you can. All right, then we have 60 degrees, -3. So here's our 60-degree line. The negative radius flips it across the origin. So 1, 2, 3. Our point's going to be right around here. Okay. All right, then we have oops, I lied to you. I jumped ahead. 90 and 0. So here's our 90-degree line right here. Radius of 0 just means we're right at the origin. That point's just right at the origin. All right, then we have 120 and 3. So 120 degrees is right here. This time we have a positive radius, so we stay on that 120-degree line and go out 1, 2, 3 circles. All right, then 135 degrees with a radius of 4.2. So 135 is right in the middle of quadrant 2. Positive radius means we stay in that quadrant, and we go out 1, 2, 3, 4.2. Right around there. All right, then we have 150 degrees with a radius of 5.2. So 150, radius of 5.2. Be right around here. Okay. All right, now if we look at the rest of these points, we're going to see that they're repetitive. So we have 180 degrees with a radius of 6. So that's the same as this point we've already plotted. 210 degrees with a radius of 5.2. Again, we've already plotted that point. 225 with a radius of 4.2, and you'll see that this continues. So the second half of these points in this particular example are just redundant. They're already points that we've plotted. So we have everything we need. So now we just need to connect our points. Basically just connect the dots. And you have a nice little circle. So that is going to be our graph. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at the next example. Okay, so just like we did in the first example, I went ahead and I put this equation into the y equals on my calculator, Okay, so your calculator should still be in the correct mode. Just clear out the equation in your y equals, put this equation in, go to the graph to see what the equation looks like, okay, to see what the graph looks like. Go to the table and write down your points. Okay, so once you have the points written down from your calculator, then we're going to go ahead and just plot them. Okay, so I'm going to trust you guys to do the calculator steps as we did it in the last video, but if you need any help with the calculator, please just send me an email and I'm more than happy to help you. Okay, all right, so let's go ahead and plot these. So our first point here, we have 0 degrees with a radius of 4. So our 0 degree line right here, going out to a radius of 4, and put us right there. All right, then we have our 30 degree line with a radius of 3.7. We're on our 45 degree line with a radius of 3.4. Like I said before, just do the best you can with the decimals. I know they're not going to be perfect, but as long as they're close, then you'll be fine. All right, then we have our 60 degree line, and we're going out to a radius of 3. Our 90 degree line, out to a radius of 2. 120 degree line, out to a radius of 1. 135 degree line, we have a radius of 0.6. This is going to start getting kind of tight in here. All right, 150 degree line, we have a radius of 0.3. Right there. And then 180 degree line, we have a radius of 0, which would put us right at the origin. Okay, so we got the top half of our graph right here. So second half of the points is going to give us the bottom half of our graph. So let's keep going. So then we have 210, so our 210 line, radius of 0.3. 225 degrees, right in the middle of quadrant 3, radius of 0.6. Then we have 240 degrees, radius of 1. 270 degrees, radius of 2. 300 degrees, radius of 3. 315 degrees, right in the middle of quadrant 4. We have a radius of 3.4. 330 degrees, radius of 3.7. And finally, 360 degrees, we're back to where we started at a radius of 4. Okay, so finally, once we get all of those points plotted, then we just need to connect the dots. And this shape right here is what we call a cardioid, because it looks like a heart, and it has that little dimple in the middle. So connect your dots, and you'll get your graph. All right, guys, so there are more examples worked out in the notes. I would suggest that you work through the rest of these examples on your own and then compare them to what I have posted. And if you have any questions on anything, send me an email, but it's basically all just more of the same. So put the equations in your graphing calculator, pull the points from the graphing calculator, and plot them by hand.